So let me share. Well, before I share my screen, welcome everyone. Happy almost 1 year out. And as of the moment, we have about 95 people joining us online. I'm sure that number is about to still go even higher. There's a good chunk of us here in person. As a quick little, note, so we will have the mic to pass around for questions later. For everyone joining us online, feel free to use either the raise hand function or put your question in the chat. We'll try and scroll back to it at the very end. We will be sharing the notes out tomorrow. So don't worry if you are like writing away at everything. Every link, every slide will be shared. Perfect. In that case, from here, I will share our screen.
I'll introduce you.
Oh, and good point. And as a reminder for everyone virtual, please remember to mute.
Yes, please.
So hi, everyone. My name is Dan Schneiderman. I am the Eclipse Partnership Coordinator here at the RMSC.
And I'm Deborah Ross. I am the chair of the Rochester Eclipse Taskforce, the kind of glue, pom-poms, insert your metaphor here, that has been holding this group that doesn't really exist together since 2017. And I'm also co-chair of the National Eclipse Task Force for the American Astronomical Society.
Hey Siri, how do you spell committee?
So yeah, we have just over a year now. Out of curiosity, how many people here were have been attending the meeting since 2019? Before that.
Yeah, it was 2018. Right.
Yeah.
2018.
2018, 2019. We have grown. I think we're close to about 500 organizations across the entire stakeholder group. It is insane to think how much we've grown and how much we'll probably grow over the next year. So, we are down to 382 days away to be specific. It's what, 2 weeks from this upcoming Saturday marks 1 year.
Yep. You all thought I was crazy 6 years ago, didn't you?
Yeah.
There has to be one always.
For those who haven't found us on online, please visit rochestereclipse224.org as we'll be posting updates there. Before we go any further, how many people are here for the first time or new to all this Eclipse organizing?
Wow. Okay, for the folks at home, that's almost 2/3 of the folks in attendance. So y'all are getting serious now, but it's really fun.
And I'm sure we have even more virtually. Wow. So that means we're doing our work.
Yep.
So the task force is made up of a couple of us who are different leaders within this. We have, of course, Deb. We have Visit Rochester. Feel free to stand up and just give a wave, or just a wave. We have myself at the RMSC helping lead a lot of our outreach or education, talking a little bit about science, and of course, Jim and Lori up here about transportation.
Genesee Transportation.
Genesee Transportation Council. For which you will hear from them in a bit. So the one thing everyone should remember, April 8th, 2024, 3:20 p.m. Oops, it looks like I might need to disable that function in a second. April 8th, 2024 at 3:20 p.m., Rochester will experience our first total solar eclipse since 1925. And we won't receive it again until 2144. There will be another total solar eclipse in the continental US in 2045. If you feel like going up to Alaska in 2033, enjoy. And there'll be another one here in New York State in 2079. So at 3:20, depending on where you are standing, you will get to experience totality for about 3 minutes and 38 seconds, 3 minutes, 40 seconds. We'll get into that map in a second. That's perfect. So we're started that. So very basic science. This is the only bit I'll go over for this larger group. Moon passes in front of sun, creates giant shadow on us. We get to be in that shadow.
And it's great.
And it's great. And it's eerie. We'll talk about what you'll experience in a moment. This is the path, a zoomed in version of the path where you get to see all of us in New York State. So I do like to point out one thing before diving in. So you see Cleveland, Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse. What connects all of us? Well, yes, okay, totality, yes.
Somebody said I-90.
I-90, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, the transportation people said I-90.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And then actually a lot of us Great Lakes. I've had
Mhm.
people actually mention the Great Lakes.
Okay.
So anyone in between these two blue lines will get to experience totality. The closer you are to that red line, the longer it should be. So for our friends out in SUNY Brockport, out in Brockport, specifically at SUNY Brockport, that path goes directly through the campus. So the closer you are, so while in Rochester, we'll get it for like 3 minutes, 38 seconds. If you're in SUNY Brockport, you get it for like 3 minutes and 42, 44 seconds. Same goes for our friends in Buffalo. Though, if you go closer to the Finger Lakes, it does start to get a little bit shorter.
Right. Canandaigua was 2 minutes and 52 seconds to give you a sense. It's fantastic 2 minutes and 52 seconds. If you ask various people whether the difference matters, some will say absolutely those 40 seconds matter. But
No
yeah.
matter what, you will want to be in totality because 99% of the sun is not totality. You can be at 99.9 and still have a fantastic view, but it will not be the same experience. So as a quick note, for those who haven't experienced totality, myself included, the sky will basically slowly become darker, usually in that last 10% as the moon covers up the sun. The temperature will drop about 10 degrees. It'll become eerily still and quiet. Shadows will sharpen. Animals will think it's nighttime. It is quite a experience and a very personal experience. I've heard people talk about either crying or laughing or just kind of being one with the universe. I think of Deb's experience, for which, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I went in as an eclipse skeptic. My daughter and I drove to Missouri for the 2017 eclipse and came out a complete convert, realizing that there were important bodies in the universe, and I was even one of them. It was really profound.
So what has, to kind of jump into things, because I know we want to talk a lot about what all of you are up to. What has the RMSC been up to? So first of all, you know that eclipse poster that you saw out back? We are now selling it officially in our store. So you can go and pick one up. We also have tons of postcards made out of it. I do know that there's a version of it being made out of chocolate that should be available in a couple months, which I still think is amazing. How big is the chocolate? Oh, no.
Not that.
No,
No.
I mean,
The
it's,
poster is this big.
if
but the
anyone
chocolate's
wants,
gonna be this
if anyone wants to make a piece of chocolate that big, go right ahead. We have been working on lots of new swag, which will be coming out soon, including these lovely stress balls that look like the moon. We have these solar eclipse patches. We're making buttons, pins, every last little bit of swag that you can think of.
Can I say one thing about swag?
Yes.
Really quickly about swag, as you're considering it, you want to make sure that all of the details are on whatever you are printing out, like mugs or t-shirts or bags or posters or anything. People want to remember where they were when. So you need the eclipse experience, where your place is, and then the date, so that people want to bring it home, and they will bring it home in droves.
For example, our patch, Eclipse, we have the date, we have RMSC and rock. Our stress are a little bit more free form. We know that they're going to get slightly destroyed. I swear, the first dog that's going to go after them. I'm actually going to quickly unshare then reshare to see if I can refix that little green mark. There we are. Here at the RMSC, we received a very large grant from Science Sandbox, an initiative of the Simons Foundation, which thankfully funded our Community Eclipse Ambassador Program, which I'll talk about in a moment. Big news to share here, which we'll be sharing for the first time, and please check your local district. Most school districts in the region have said April 8th, 2024 will be a eclipse day. No school. That is most of the region. So I highly recommend sharing this news with your students. I know a lot of schools are still working on their calendars, putting them out there, but this is going to make things so much easier for all those students to go outside, especially as we worry about the transportation issue at 3:20 p.m. or more likely 3:35 p.m. Here at the RMSC, we are continuing on our plans for the Rock the Eclipse Festival, which will be a 4-day festival. Imagine music, speakers, hands-on activities, lots of food trucks, tons of telescopes, all sorts of exciting things. We're working on the Eclipse website, which very, very soon, I know we've been promising this for a while, you will be able to submit your own events to that website. We want to promote you. As many events as we're planning, as much as we want to have everyone come here, we cannot fit 300,000 people here. We can't fit even close to that. But we want everyone to explore Rochester, to explore the greater Rochester region. We have so much to offer, and we want to promote your events. We're doing a lot of presentations for which, if you want us to give a presentation to a group in the region, let us know, let Deb know, let Jim know. I swear one of us is doing at least 2 to 3 presentations a week, and it's only going to get worse. We're doing a lot of merch, and we're starting to kick off our outreach at events and festivals. Rochester's festival season is practically here. Yeah. It's a busy one for us, and we want to be at as many events as possible. For those who have been asking about Eclipse glasses, we will officially be announcing our design on April 6th at a press event, which we'll briefly mention later. If you want to pre-order glasses, please email me sooner than later. And one of the special things that we are working on are these giant Eclipse glasses that we want to bring to your events and deploy across the region. And to give you an idea what they look like, actually, I'll get to a moment what they'll look like. Forgot what order I put these slides. So the RMSC Community Eclipse Ambassador Program that we announced back in January, we received 154 applications. We only had enough spots for 50, and we technically fudged the numbers to make it so that 52 organizations could be here. If anyone here locally at our in-person meeting is an ambassador, please feel free to either wave your hand or stand up. Yeah. I know I recognize a couple of you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Amazing.
Thank you, guys.
And perfect. I even saw people raise their hands via Zoom. These folks will be going out into their own communities and promoting the eclipse everywhere. We had folks all over, and to give you an idea, we spread this map out. And this doesn't even show every location because a number of our ambassador orgs are networks. These are, you have all the libraries. You have, I know we don't have all the OWL libraries up on here, but we have OWL as a system as part of the program. We have all the different scouts. We have the YMCAs. All of these networks will end up on this map. And we have asked all of our ambassadors to either run their own viewing event or support a viewing event, but just make this eclipse as accessible as possible. We're also going to kind of ask them, and we're going to open this call up to everyone to be at your events. We want to promote the eclipse to as many people as possible. Remember, we have 1.1 million people living in our metro population area. That's 1.1 million people we need to inform about the eclipse. And one of the best ways is through festivals, through the events. You never know what's going to pop up. So some of the things that we want to bring to events are the giant glasses that I mentioned a moment ago. So back in 2017, the Adler Planetarium built 3 8-foot wide glasses, and they brought them out to their parks, to some of the landmarks around Chicago to help promote the eclipse. We said, that's a fantastic idea. How can we replicate it here in Rochester? So we are going to have 1 8-foot pair here at the RMSC. We're going to have 1 pair at our eclipse sponsor, for which we will announce on April 6th, and then 3 6-foot pairs to travel. We are going to bring these to the Fringe Festival, to Fairport Canal Days, to Imagine RIT, to Cornhill, to every event imaginable. Anything that you want us to bring these classes to, please just give a holler. Theoretically, I can throw it in the back of my Subaru and just head over. Once we get them, I'm gonna do a load-in test and hope that all of my measurements have worked out. We also have these giant inflatable suns that we can bring to events. That thing is 10 foot tall. This is not fully inflated. This was my first, our second inflate test. That is me for scale. We also have a scale model of a Earth and a moon. Earth is about an inch tall against that sun. And we're working on really getting out into the community. We were just at the first robotics competition this past weekend. We'll be at different talks. We'll be at Canal Days. We'll be at a lot of summer celebrations. I know we'll be at movies in the park with the county. Can we announce the Red Wings now?
I think so.
Yeah, we're gonna do a Red Wings Eclipse Day.
August 27th.
August 27th, and we're doing that for a reason, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Food truck rodeos, I forgot to put in the word rodeo. Move-in days, all of this, and we want to be at even more. For which we will be putting the call out to volunteers too, because if you know these events, they overlap. I can't be in multiple places at once. Dad can't be at multiple places at once. We need everyone's help to get that word out. And with this, I'm going to turn it over to Jim.
So just before I jump into my stuff, I was thinking about when you were talking about the swag and the argument I had with my 15-year-old daughter. Does anybody know the difference between swag and merch? Merch you buy, swag, what I've been told, is stuff we all get. Swag is what you're giving away, and merch is what you're gonna sell. So when you are coming up with your merchandise plans, again, where are you? When is it? You know, everything that could tie back to that day. And what did they Janet Ivy from Tennessee, that when she talked, or when it was you, to like talk to the merchandise.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that was me.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I was in St. Louis for the last eclipse, I went to the Science Center, the St. Louis Science Center, because I always go to the Science Center. And I talked to the guy behind the counter, because I always talk to the guy behind the counter. And I said, you know, Rochester 2024 Eclipse, what do I need to know? And he said, whatever merch you're thinking of buying, double it, because you're going to sell out. And in fact, I had taken 2 of the last 3 mugs off the shelf that said St. Louis Science Center, August 21st, 2017, Great American Solar Eclipse. So it was true. And you know, it's worth contemplating, and it's worth contemplating from a supply chain perspective. So think about it right now.
All right, so now onto some transportation. So just trying to update since the last we presented in January, but now realizing a lot of new faces. So just to give you some background, Genesee Transportation Council is the metropolitan planning organization for Rochester, New York area. Every area of the country that's got 50,000 or more people has an office like GTC. We work with 9 counties, with the city of Rochester, with state agencies, with regional agencies on the transportation system. So we're trying to, in 2018, when we realized what potential there is for transportation issues, and what we've learned from the 2017, that when people want to leave immediately after, and the first 2 hours is going to be torture, and the first 15 minutes will be even more torture. So I really appreciate that we're not going to have kids stuck on school buses when the traffic is heavy. That's going to be a great thing. And I just hope we have opportunities for those kids to then get events at the schools, or, you know, through their town rec department, so they can learn and not be stuck inside, and create opportunities to help out those families that have to arrange for childcare. So anyways, we recently went out, we presented to the leadership at Regional Transit Service, so the bus companies, and what they might expect from this eclipse, not only in Rochester, but out in Genesee County, Wyoming County, Orleans County, Wayne County. They're all going to get hit. So they're trying to anticipate what they might be up against, because at the end of the day, even if they don't do anything special, they still have to drive through their buses through all the traffic that everybody else is dealing with. But with schools being out, that then frees up an opportunity. You know, when Rochester City School District decided to closed that day. Well, now the buses that would normally be used to move those students maybe become available for shuttle services. You think about Buffalo Bills camp or PGA, where you park in one place and get shuttled somewhere. Those opportunities now become available. They wouldn't have been if school was in session. After Dan had done a presentation to some health emergency planning folks, word got out that, hey, we're kind of doing some stuff in Rochester, and they said, can you talk to the people in the Capital District? Dan wasn't available, so I did. Now, Albany itself is not going to get the eclipse, but if you notice from that, the presentation, the Adirondacks will. And, you know, if you're into solitude, you can imagine being up on a high peak and experiencing this. But with that, a lot of inexperienced hikers might go up there, get injured. Somebody might get caught if, like, you know, hey, it's April 8th, a storm could blow up, some cold air can come in. So those folks that are doing health in the Capital District and North Country have to be prepared. How do we respond to incidents? How do we make sure that people get to the medical facilities if there's an emergency? How do we ensure our own ambulances and such can get through if I-87 is completely bottlenecked? So we, you know, it's not our region, but we're trying to share information as broadly as we can. We want everybody in New York to enjoy it and everybody comes to visit. Dan mentioned earlier, SUNY Brockport is right on the path. We had an opportunity to go out to talk to the SUNY Brockport Eclipse Taskforce, and then also some officials from the village of Brockport and town of Sweden, we have the Brockport School District. And based on that, we're going to do some follow-up focus on off-campus. We're going to have more meetings there. We're also going to be doing presentations in Batavia and Albion. I'm trying to remember, is that more emergency preparedness? I'm trying to remember what that group is. We're in two places, but and you know, honestly, we are available for presentations. Dan said it to help us spread the word. If there's groups that are out there trying to understand what the impacts might be, what we got going on with transportation, we want to be a resource. The other thing we're trying to do, I'm making reference to what I call sanctioned venues. The idea of somebody is officially putting on an event as opposed to, you know, people gathering for a block party. You know, RMSC is expecting thousands of visitors. The public market's going to have something. Innovation Field is going to have something. Memorial Art Gallery might have something. You know, all these different places. Well, SUNY Brockport is definitely having something, but if the village and the towns are doing something, there's potential for the traffic to overlap, or, you know, if one event is happening, well, now you multiply that. And I talked about this. Well, we know it's going to be the largest transportation event in the country in all of next year. No question about that. But if you think about, this is going to be one major event at hundreds of locations. So no one place is going to be having to take all the burden. But, you know, you got all this stuff happening at once, and there's potential. There's only so many roads. People can't go north. We got a big water body there. So again, if you know about events, please pass them through Dan or to me. We want to get those events plotted on a map so we can understand where they are in relation to each other, what the road network is, what kind of construction projects are happening. I mean, in Brockport, we know the bridge over the canal is not going to be in. They're removing it right now for major work. But other places next year, instead of starting road projects on April 1st, they're going to wait till like April 15th. That's already being built into contracts. So these are the things we're trying to think ahead. You know, we don't want oversized loads running down the highway. We don't want those, you know, wind turbine blades going that day. So Dan and I are coordinating on a mapping tool. We want to get all that information plotted on the map. Dan showed where the ambassadors are. We're going to sanction venues, the road network, everything's going to be there. So please, any events that people become aware of that become official events, let us know so we can get that on the map. And also, if you are planning an event, please keep in mind, depending upon the size of your event and your crowd, you might need permits, and you definitely want to talk to your local officials, emergency management. If the event is large enough, you're going to have an official emergency plan. So the local and county and state emergency management folks are your friend. They want everybody to be safe. So it's better to reach out as early as you have some sense of the scale you want to do.
have chosen MC, sorry.
Everyone.
Hello.
For those who don't know me, I am Holly Avino with Visit Rochester. Diana Keating is know all, tell all for Visit Rochester. Unfortunately, she had a prior commitment, so you guys are stuck with me. I just had a few updates on her behalf that I'm going to read directly so that I'm not lying to you guys about anything that she stated. Because I will get it screwed up. That's just me. So the first thing is Visit Rochester is in partnership with RMSC, received an award of $168,500, which will be matched for a total program of $337,000. That will include major marketing and public relation plans, as well as event planning support for the museum of their 4-day festival. The team is currently reviewing proposals to select a creative and media buying partner, as well as a PR partner. Next is Visit Rochester's Visit Industry Council is the working arm of Visit Rochester membership and is proudly run by members for members. It consists of various committees and task forces, and we added the Eclipse Tourism Task Force this year to help prepare. Together, this robust merged group is meeting monthly to discuss a variety of topics as it relates to planning eclipse-themed events and viewing sites, as well as preparing to welcome visitors. If you're interested in joining this committee, reach out to Diana, Dan, or Rebecca. And then finally, or myself, and I can get you in contact with who you need to be. And then lastly is Visit Rochester will actively be pitching media once a PR agency partner is selected, but also continues to respond to media requests as they are received and actively continues to pitch media in marketplace settings. So as soon as we have a PR partner chosen, we will have some bigger and more exciting updates for you.
Next. Okay, yeah, so I have a couple of announcements from the National Task Force. Before I do that, though, part of the point of coming together for so long in advance was to further my secret mission, which is to make sure that everybody in the world knows what a shining star Rochester is. And so to get out ahead of that, we really started meeting as a group very, very early. In 2019, we brought Janet Ivey, who was one of the managers of the Nashville Eclipse from 2017, for 2 days of stakeholder meetings. And we, among other things, last year, we were the location right here and at the RMSC was the first in-person location of the National Eclipse Taskforce annual meeting. They meet for the 5 years in advance of each of these 2 eclipses for 2017 and 2024 to help communities in the path get organized. And so what everybody has realized, I would like to think, on the National Eclipse Task Force is really just how far Rochester is. And it's because of this attitude that was at first fostered by Visit Rochester over 40 years ago, the attitude that a rising tide raises all boats. And so we play really, really well together. And by having come up with all of these resources and strategies, we've been sharing ourselves to communities throughout the country for the last several years, and that has really worked. So I think that was sort of part of why they asked me to co-chair the task force. So a couple of extra things. The next National Eclipse Task Force meeting will be in Albuquerque in June 9th to the 10th. If you were here for the one in October here, you know what a great experience that was, and it's just ramping up more. So for those of you who weren't able to get together in person and learn best practices from those in the last eclipse, or who did and just want more of the same, consider those days, and I will get you the information for the specifics. We also have, at the National Task Force, we've been putting together lots of information so that communities, newbies, and experienced folk alike can get at very, very quickly and easily the kinds of information that they need to succeed over the course of the next year. And so the most popular single piece was this PDF of impact data from the 2017 eclipse. Sorry, Dan.
Yep.
Clicked the wrong thing. Y'all will have links to this, by the way. Got that. So we have, this is impact data that was collected after the last eclipse from different regions. So there are regions that are very similar to us in certain ways. But if you are in the position of needing to persuade others that you're associated with, not just that this is happening, but that it's a big deal and it's a big opportunity, this document is going to be super useful for you. Similarly, we have Eclipse 2024 resources.com put together by the National Task Force, which shows you actually all of the conference videos from, oh, this is a Mac, isn't it? From the last several conferences. We went virtual to a large extent, of course, over COVID, but then important resources by audience. Oh, you Mac. Okay, yes, thank you. Resources by audience. So local planners, event planners, museums, and libraries, a lot of that is cross-posted, but it literally is the kinds of things that you need. And then the videos from previous conferences are put there, the ones that you need to watch. So it's gonna be really, really useful for you to review this stuff, but also to show people who haven't been participating as actively as you have. And I think, let's see, and there are some basics about eclipse safety that the RMSC has been promoting. If you click right there, Dan, this page, which goes to the AAS's website, they're the official sort of, they approve organizations and businesses to make sure that the glasses that they are posting, that they are producing are safe. So you only want to make sure that you order ever from a AAS approved organization. They've taken this very, very seriously over the last several years. Ordering your glasses early is going to be key. You will not be able to do it next winter, especially if you want it branded with your information. Let me see what else I had on there. Thank you. Okay, yes, a couple of other things. So there is a grant. So everybody asks about grants, right? Especially because we had the RMSC produced grant. There aren't very many grants out there at all for organizations. It is commonly accepted that communities thrive financially within the path. However, there are grants for those serving underserved communities. So there is a SEAL grant, Solar Eclipse Activities for Libraries, that libraries can apply for resources and glasses to distribute. It was done terrifically during the last eclipse, and we've got that grant available as well. And there will be an upcoming National Science Foundation grant of between $5,000 and $20,000 for organizations, not-for-profit and for-profit, that are specifically looking to reach underserved communities. And the AAS organization is going to be distributing those grants. So there will be an announcement for proposals for that in late April or May. Okay, I think that was what I had from the National Task Force.
Yes.
The one, let's just say though, we're out ahead of everybody. And we have events planned to celebrate over the course of the next year. And part of best practices from the last eclipse is, you have been sort of stated that as much as your community can have as its identity, the fact that this wonderful, positive, individual and community experience is going to be happening here, that helps our community put its arms around itself to have that identity. So we have a number of things planned. Dan mentioned earlier that, there's an Eclipse Day at the Red Wings, but a number of events being planned for the upcoming year. And we encourage as many as possible. As you all create them, we will shout about them. We will all shout about each other's, and it will be amazing.
So with April 8th coming up, in the 5 days before and about 5 days after, I want everyone here, both in person and online, to go outside at 3:20 p.m. and take a photo of your view. The sun should be in the exact same position in those on those days, if you go out at 3:20 p.m. as it will be on April 8th, 2024. We have done this the last 2 years, and we want to finish it up with a strong number 3. When you go outside, I want you to also start thinking about how you want to plan your viewing events. Think about sight lines with trees and buildings and construction equipment. Consider sitting down. Think about what the height from a child might be or someone in a wheelchair. Think about the ability to get up and move. Back in 2017, one example that comes to mind is at SIU in Carbondale, Illinois. They had everyone seated in a stadium and a cloud formed over it at the last second. It did part, giving people just a few seconds to experience totality. but the people outside the stadium were able to see it. Be ready to get up and move. And now, of course, you should always think about your bathrooms, your food, your parking, light pollution. Start thinking about all of your automatic lights and turn them off for one day or even just a few hours. Anything that might turn on at dusk, please try and turn that off. I know that's something we're thinking about. Think about your areas for activities and photographers, just all of that. And remember, there's going to be so much going on that day and people will camp out for a long time. So April and the days leading up to April 8th and the days after, I want all of you to go and take that photo, post it on social media. I know we'll be tracking it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, mostly Twitter and Instagram admittedly. But use Rock Eclipse 2024 as the hashtag or tag us at Rock Solar Eclipse. Feel free to also use Eclipse 2024. That's going to be the national hashtag. As you do this, please do not look directly at the sun. We want you to still be able to view the eclipse next year. Remember, don't look at the sun. To give you an idea, that is what the planetarium looks like if you're across the street at 3:20 p.m. Or what other people have done in the past couple of years. I love Genesee Country Village and Museum. They're great field, perfect. Rock Brewing, Lollipop Farm, and then even more. And you know what? Yes, this does show that, you could see clouds, but it could also be a sunny day. 2 years ago, Deb and I were at Innovative Fields, and I don't know about you, but I got sunburned that day. It was 70 degrees and sunny.
It was great.
Relatedly, save the date. We will be holding a press event over in the planetarium on April 6th, 2023 at 10 a.m. The reason why we're going for April 6th is because that's a Thursday. April 8th is a Saturday this year, and it's right in between Good Friday and Easter. And we want people to show up. Though on April 8th, you should totally go outside, take everyone out. 3:20 on a Saturday afternoon, perfect timing. We'll be celebrating it here at the RMSC with Yuris Night on April 15th. I think I actually duplicated that slide. We'll be celebrating the eclipse all week as we celebrate Space Week. That week is April break. So start planning your space activities even this year, and it should be spring break next year. And then Yuris Night, this was actually brought up at the last AAS meeting. It's this event that's held internationally to celebrate the first human in space. And we have brought this event back to Rochester. It was held here last in like 2012. And we'll be doing a 21 and older event. There's also, I'll actually let Deb talk about this.
So, and yay, Hillary Stott is in the audience. Thank you, Hillary. So Tyler Nordgren, who is the artist, astronomer, whose art is in the Smithsonian from the 2017 eclipse work that he did, has been busily at work on 2024 eclipse posters as well. He's done the Rochester poster, the first one that you see there on the left, he did for us in 2019, right after Hillary Olsen and I met and fangirled him at the National Eclipse Taskforce in St. Louis. And then a subsequent drawing as well for Rochester here, but you can see he's done many for New York. He now lives in Ithaca, so that's really handy. And when Hillary Stott, who owns Menden 64, late last year, Menden 64, now Hillary, like jump in and if I'm saying this wrong, but every year for, every month for like decades almost, Hillary's restaurant, Menden 64, features a different artist on its walls every month. That's one of the things that they do to celebrate art in our community. And as soon as she saw that art, she said, oh, I have to have it. I have to have it at Menden 64, and it has to be at the 1 year out mark. So perfect. And so she is holding an opening reception now. You know how like what happens in Rochester, somebody gets an idea and then somebody says yes and. Well, Greg LaDuca from Visit Rochester said, oh, that's a fabulous idea. We should travel that exhibit around the Rochester area. one place each month for the 12 months leading up as part of what I was talking about before, that community coalescing around the eclipse. I thought that was brilliant. And so we now have a planned year of this exhibit traveling around. So the opening reception, free opening reception from 5 to 7 on Tuesday, April 11th. Get out your calendars now. Put it in your calendars. There will be speakers, there will be hors d'oeuvres, there will be a cash bar, there will be much merriment, and then walk around and look in awe at this 30 poster exhibit that will then be traveling. Did I miss anything, Hillary? Let's hope for nice weather, because I think there'll be a lot of us, right?
So the next in-person meeting, yeah, we talked about this during the last meeting. Sorry, I forgot to text that to you. We are going to, our next tentative meeting is June 1st, with the PGA being here in Rochester in May. We are avoiding that. Because at the same time as the PGA is also the Lilac Festival and all of the university graduations, we figured everyone's going to be a smidge busy. So we're just going to put it off a little bit.
Volunteering at the events.
We'll be volunteering at the events. So we're just going to kind of pass over then, and then hopefully meet at the start of summer. One of the big things I really want to enforce for everyone here. So while we do have April 8th, 2024, there is a way that we could do a test run on October 14th at about 1:12 to 1:15 p.m. for our max. There will be a partial solar eclipse. For us, it is technically an annular eclipse that goes across a good chunk of the US, mostly in the south, mostly southwest. An annular means that they don't fully cover the sun. There's like a slight ring around the moon. It's a gorgeous view. But the great thing for us is that's a Saturday afternoon in October.
What
Cool.
a nicer day.
Perfect time to have an event. We'll be doing a viewing event here. I hear that there's going to be an Erie Canal cruise that I think is getting close to being sold out.
Yeah, already. Stokey Farms is doing an event that day. Yeah.
So this is the perfect time to do a test run for your events. And now I think we will turn up the lights and ask what everyone else here has been up to. And we will pass the mic so that everyone online can hear. And then after that, we will do questions. I'm going to stop sharing.
Raise your hand if you have something to announce here. Like what y'all are planning.
And we'll go back and forth between what we're doing here and those people online. So does anyone want to share?
And say your name and affiliation before you talk. You know who you are, doesn't mean everybody does.
Hi, I'm Hillary Stott. I own a few restaurants in New York, Honey Falls area, which would be a beautiful place, I think, to look at the eclipse. So I'm planning on doing some fun things with my logo, like maybe replacing the O's with some beautiful eclipse pictures to sell merch, not sad. Pint glasses, little mugs. We got the alcohol to go single now, so maybe we can kind of make a little outdoor party and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to do out there, and I'm going to get started on that right away as per Deb's suggestion, because by my wait till next March, everyone's going to be too busy to make stuff for me. So there you go.
Cosmos to go.
Yeah. Anita, could you talk actually just about what you have available? You don't mind, do you? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Anita O'Brien from Rochester Accessible Adventures, and there are about 300,000 plus people living with a disability in the greater Rochester region alone. And that makes up part of that 1-point-something million that live around our corridor for this pathway. We want to make sure that they have everything that we're offering with all of the events here. So RAA will be offering you a service as you're planning out your particular events, just to make sure you have some lens of inclusion as you're getting your event ready, making sure that you're thinking of everything that you can think of, from your advertisement to your parking to your restroom facilities, how you can make sure that people know that you're expecting them to come to your event, because you want everyone in the family to come along for that. So we'll be putting that package out so that you know what that is. And you're able to take these next 12 months plus a few days to look through your event through that inclusion lens. Thanks very much.
I'm gonna, before our next person here, I'm gonna give it to Amelia over Zoom.
Hi, thanks so much for inviting me. I'm part of Ward Science. We provide all sorts of science education materials and are based out of the Rochester area since the 1800s. And I just wanted to put out that if people need any assistance with equipment, like calibrating telescopes, setting things up, we have a staff that's willing to help do that and promote your events on a technical support level. And I also wanted to ask you what I've been receiving a lot of questions while we've been kind of sharing products and ideas on my side of things about what people should expect if it's a cloudy day.
Okay, so I can answer this cloud question because we get asked this.
No. Here, there you go.
They should still be, hopefully they can hear me online because I'm.
We can hear
I
you
can hear
without the mic.
Perfect. I'll keep this over here. So cloud question. This is the #1 question I get asked. This is probably the #1 question for all of New York State in relation to the eclipse. I can see our Buffalo friends nodding because, yeah, we deal with this a lot. 52% chance of sun that day.
All right.
Remember, this is sunny Rochester. Think about yesterday. Think about the first half of today. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous day. And here's the other thing. No matter what the weather, it's still going to happen. It will still get dark out. There's lots of great footage from 2017 where you'll have cloudy fields. Homestead National Monument, which is actually where Bill Nye the Science Guy was during 2017, was clouded out for most of it, and only for a few last seconds did the clouds move away. It added to the tension, to the drama, and to the story. And guess what? They still experience the eclipse. The temperature will still drop. All of these things will still happen. You just won't get the visual. Well, as much of a visual. It will still get dark though. And I do know that even if there are clouds, it's only going to cover about maybe 50 to 60% of the sky, according to recent maps. Ignore that message for everyone who is here in person. Before we call on Betsy, I just want to mention in the comments, 9 Spot Brewing is brewing a beer in the next few weeks specifically for the eclipse. And this is fantastic to hear. And I know we have several other beers and ciders and winery. And actually one of the things that we just received yesterday, and I'll give this actually come up here so that the camera can see it.
Oh, okay, great. Mine.
Sorry.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rebecca LeClaire, and I've been working with the task force, and I'm a stakeholder too. This, if you can see what that is, this is a bag for coffee, either the ground or the beans, and it's from Neutral Ground. If you've ever been on Shone Place, Marianne's done a wonderful job, and she's taken our advice to get on top of this and start the marketing now. So she's created this. She had her graphics designer created it. It's in like a holographic type thing. You can see the sun, the moon, and it's really cool. She's got the light roast and the dark roast, right? And this is great. And I've been working with her, and I've decided that I'm going to transfer my communications firm into a marketing firm to help local businesses market their existing products. She's not making a new coffee bean, she's just remarketing it. And we're developing a merchandise website, so you can put all of your wonderful supplies on there. We can sell it for you. So we're all doing this together to help advance local businesses and local products. I was mentioning this to my sister. She's a quilter, and she said, oh, I should make an eclipse quilt. And I said, well, I don't want you to make like 200 quilts, because what if nobody buys them? She said, no, I'll go on your website, I'll show one of them, and then I'll do it by commission. And I was like, there you go. So, I mean, the more you talk about it, everyone has a product that they could probably turn into some kind of eclipse related merchandise, not swag.
But also like with that, us being out so far ahead of this, we'll be able to help those communities that are not so far out ahead of this. So Heron Hill Winery, Jacqueline, where are you? You're here. Do you want to just talk about just for a second? You know, okay, so they have Eclipse wine. And Hillary Olsen and I brought some of that Eclipse wine out to St. Louis in 2019 for the Eclipse, but we want to export Rochester to the extent we can. We want to share our information for free, but absolutely, do we want to export our products? We certainly do. And I, just being national chair, I have access to all the contact information from all these people and all these communities. It's great. More.
Before we go back there, I'm gonna have Betsy join us.
Okay.
Unmute Betsy.
Hey, everyone. So working on the New York State statewide task force, the education committee, we do have a couple of things to report. We've been working with the state ed department's low-level resource people, because they're not technically on our statewide committee, our statewide task force. But the standards, the Office of Standards and Instruction has been putting together some resources for teachers, working with Conrad and Josh, who are on this call also. So we have some connections to the statewide standards, but we also are working with the state's education lead for PBS channels, and they're going to be working with the Education for Educators, Eclipse for Educators subcommittee on putting together some learning media materials for educators on the solar eclipse, but also some other resources so that the teachers and educators can work on some other things, not just to lead up to the solar eclipse. But also we're working on some wording and some training materials for staff and for the public on some safety things with the Department of Health, so that we have some public messaging on different five main topics: outdoor safety, environmental safety, eye safety, weather, a couple other things. So there's a number of things in the work on education, which is a broad range. It's not just education for students and teachers. It's a broad range, working from both the lens of the health side of things and general public events. So that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devin. Betsy, thanks for a segue, because for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lori Bajorek. I am the president of the National Esports Association, which just happens to be here in Rochester. And I started talking with Dan a few years ago about this crazy idea to put Minecraft and build the solar eclipse. So I just returned from Seattle talking with Minecraft Education just about this, is how do we get our digitized youth excited about going outside when we're used to them being on the screens? So we're trying to really tap into that. And the more that I'm learning about how big this is and seeing this full room, whatever we can do at the National Esports Association to help locally as well as nationally, to really help our students embrace this amazing opportunity in a way that they're used to, but then also getting them outside to do it. So I think it's great what you're all doing, and looking forward to continuing the conversation on education and solar eclipse. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Bernie Fenster, and I'm going to be a little bit on the self-serving side for all of those of you who want sweat or merch. That is what I do for a living. I've been doing it for over 20 years, almost 30 years now. And I'm going to, after listening to all of this, I'm going to try to build a small website that will have stuff that will be more related to the eclipse, but also the general merchandise. So my website is RJF Marketing, and on there I'll put a link for the Eclipse website.
To jump back into the comments, just want to, for any of those who are ambassadors who are wondering, please check your emails for the training session times. I'll be emailing you a whole bunch very soon. The next question that we have is, can you verify that city and local school buses will work together for transportation of guests.
I just wanted to respond to that because I mentioned the school buses, or I'm sorry, the transit buses. We cannot say that they'll be coordinated yet. The point I was trying to make is now that RTS won't have to transport Rochester City School District students, that resource gets freed up. Nothing has been decided yet. We don't even know all the venues and all the shuttles that might be a possibility, but it's a resource that now is available. So the answer, no, we cannot verify.
Working on things. We still have a year's worth of work to do.
2 weeks of 2 new schools closed.
Of other things that was mentioned, I just want to mention, yes, there will be live streams all over the place. I know NASA does a fantastic live stream. That's the one that we'll probably be tuning into here. Please plan to have backup screens. Even if you do have a sunny day, that little bit of entertainment goes a long way. Last time they had scientists, they had different locations. They had great science communicators, great information, safety, lots of fun stories. I think Good Morning America did one, their own stream, and even covered some of the weddings that took place around the eclipse. There's a lot of great things that you can tie in and lots of good events. And yes, there are things to do, even if there are clouds. Some people will drive away. Some people will still hang out and celebrate. I'm telling you, no matter rain, sleet, snow, or sun, I'm going to be right outside here at the RMSC. And I hope to see a lot of you at either at your locations or here.
There is no backup date.
There is no backup date.
No cloud day, no cloud. And these, one of the things that Dan said, also worth noting, if you're thinking of bringing science experts to your location, you want to line them up now. You will not be able to line them up. And sort of best practices says there are tons of people right here in our area. We want to keep them here. Maybe some of them will be going to Mexico, where let's not talk about the percent chance of sun for Mexico, but those who will be here we have marvelous educators right here who can come to your event, who can talk at your event, and it really, really augments that.
And we are working on a list. This is out of the university subcommittee, a list of experts that people can get in contact with. So just wait on it for a little bit, because I know we're working on that. And cultural experts as well, because the eclipse isn't just science. It's lots of history, lots of art.
And thanks for that, because I'm Pilar Osorio Godoy, and I'm the president of Grupo Cultural Latinos in Rochester. And we are actually going to be offering some of the cultural stuff as well. We're going to have some interactive dance workshops that people can request. One of them is an example of different rhythms of Latin America around the Ring of Fire, Latin American art exhibitions regarding Mesoamerican ancient civilizations, of artifacts, costumes, etc. Also bilingual Spanish storytelling about different ancient tribes and cultures. For example, Selknam from Chile and Andean people, and as well as different interactive activities and art and craft projects.
That is fantastic.
Hi, my name is Jessa, and I work at the Helmer Nature Center in Irondequoit. And this is my first meeting, so we haven't planned anything yet. I just wanted to encourage people to remember that Earth Day is going to be coming up soon after the eclipse, and to maybe, if you're planning your swag or your merch, not to use single-use plastic or no plastic. And also maybe plan on having recycling bins at your event also, not just garbage cans, and any way you can make it a greener event as we honor the earth.
Good point. Are there other questions from online, Dan?
Can you repeat the name of the group?
So for short, it's GCLER, GCLER.org. And it's Grupo Cultural Latinos in Rochester.
I think I have hit all of the questions here. There was a comment to set up live streams within Rochester, which is something we are looking into. I think we have captured everything in the chat that isn't a, hey, we're happy to be here.
I think we all are.
One thing I will share for everyone, and I'll share my screen again. If you want to get in contact with us, well, quick, follow us on social media, sign up for our newsletter. We'll be doing a lot more emails soon. You see Eclipse.
So we have eclipseweb.org. If you are not already on the dashboard, you should get on there. So eclipseweb.org, go to Rochester and either log in with the stuff that I gave you or sign up with you and your organization. And then that's a place where we are collecting all of these notes about all of these meetings. We're collecting resources, we're collecting media mentions. And most important, you can find out who else is on the task force. All these 580 people, you'll get contact information. You can find them right there. And so that's pretty much how people are using it. They're logging in to see who's there and make sure that they are seen. Put your picture there so people know what you look like. It's very useful.
And also, please feel free to email us. I can't speak for everyone, but I know I'm attached to my email 24/7, a little bit more than I should be. And admittedly, it might take us a few days, especially around April 8th this year, for us to get back. Just because I know we'll be running around Rochester, possibly literally.
Yeah, Rochester on April 8th of 2024, scheduled to be announced. But if you would like us to be at your venue, if you know what you are doing next year and would like us to shout about it on April 8th, Saturday, and you'd like us to go there, get in touch with one of us. We will be there. We will be on film. We will be on Facebook Live. We will be, doing all of that to help get people excited.
And I will be here at 3:20 p.m. that day, showing everyone what the view is and talking about it.
I just wanted to clarify that eclipseweb.org, if it wasn't clear, that's for the stakeholders. It's not the public facing. So it's where we're able to exchange information and understand what's going on, sort of behind the scenes. So you do need to be able to log in with a password to get set up, but it's a great resource. Deb and her team are able to create it, and now it's available in probably 25 cities.
So when we created that, I wanted to make a place. I know that they can't hear me on that. Sorry. So as we were putting together this group that doesn't legally exist, I knew that we would need a place that was other than a series of spreadsheets to find each other and to keep the information all organized. So I looked around to see if there was such a kind of community dashboard and couldn't find it. So spent 2021 looking sort of fruitlessly for something that was free, because I wasn't going to chase y'all for $12 a month to try to have a login. That would be crazy. But a buddy of mine, Steve Glockman, and I have put together the dashboard. It not only had to be free, but it had to be replicable. So we wanted not just Rochester to be able to use it, but communities throughout the path to be able to use it. So that is free for any community to use. Buffalo has one, Erie has one, Syracuse has one, the Adirondacks have one, and then all through the path. So if you are logged in or here and a member of another region that needs one, you're going to email me or apply there, and we'll get you set up. Thank you, Deb. You're welcome.
Any other questions online or here in person? I know we've covered a lot of information, and we'll be covering a lot more as we get closer. We'll have more events to announce. We'll have lots of fun activities to announce, resources, lots of fun things.
We had talked in the first meeting about the possibility of having material in Spanish.
Yes.
Is that?
It's still on my to-do list. Yes. My hope is, please. Yes. Yes. I just owe you a email and a very long list of emails.
Alex beer.
Yes. Or wine or cider. Or a cup of coffee.
Light side coffee.
Oh, one quick other side note on materials. If you are producing a piece of swag, if you could set aside one piece for the archives, one thing that we need to remember is to document what we're doing here. And we want to be able to save items to hopefully have an exhibit in 2144 or even earlier.
And if you want to give one of your pieces of swag and merchandise to each of your Eclipse leaders, we would not say no.
With that, I think we will wrap it up. I'll be posting this video hopefully on the RMSC YouTube within a day or so. I try and update the captions as best as I can. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us, and thank you very much.